Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
Hello, and thank you for downloading this podcast on Wisp Sports. I'm Chris Stafford, and this is Season 1, Episode 8 of The Bolder Woman.
Tame the voices in your head. You've put your courage to the test. Laid all your doubts to rest. Your mind is clearer than before. Your heart is full and wanting more. Your future's at the door. Give it all you got. No hesitating. You've been waiting all your life.
My guest today is Carolyn Nichols, who sits comfortably on top of the singles and doubles rankings as a US senior player on the International Tennis Federation rankings. It's a place that's familiar to her. At the age of 63, she's been playing competitively now for almost 50 years, and her itinerary is as intense as ever. Carolyn enjoys giving back to the sport too. She's a keen writer, and she serves on numerous committees and in different roles, both at national level and at her local California clubs. Her motivation to improve her game is endless as she strives for that better topspin or drop shot. Carolyn has been nationally ranked since 1989 and a member of 19 senior Fed Cup teams, of which she has won no less than 14 times. She has won the world singles and doubles titles a few times too and collected 41 gold balls for national championships. Her record is amazing, but it's also her single-minded focus and ambition to be satisfied with every game that is impressive. I caught up with Carolyn at home in California before she took off for another international trip and heard about her training schedule and the tournaments that she'll be playing. Hi Carolyn, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's nice to have you here to tell your story, something about tennis that you're passionate about, and it has been a lifelong journey for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, I started playing tennis when I was 13. I'm 63 now, and I love it. I love I love competing. Turns out I didn't play sports when I was younger, before high school, but it turns out I'm incredibly competitive, and tennis, senior tennis tournaments, it's a really good outlet for that.
So if you didn't feel you were competitive, and I've talked to other athletes who don't feel they're necessarily competitive, but clearly it's there somewhere. Was there sport in the family?
Yeah, no, I am. It turns out I am incredibly competitive, but yes, my dad was a excellent senior player. He's 94 now. His older sister started the whole family in tennis on their little farm. They had a homemade court and they lined it with ashes from the fireplace, and they had 8 kids, 1 bathroom. But that's how the tennis started in the family. And my dad was a world champion in his 80s. And my mom played. She's not competitive. My sister is a very good player, and my brother played college tennis, and my cousins all play. There's a lot of tennis in the family.
There certainly is, isn't there? And in your genes, so there was no other sport in your life then, as you said, growing up, you weren't competitive in other sports.
No, I didn't do other sports, and when we had to do them, in school, I was the last one picked, and I hated it. I liked to read books and play with my dolls, and then I got the tennis bug, and when I was, just like the summer before high school, and we had high school tennis in the States. We had back then it was different. Now it's just the girls play in the fall and the boys play in the spring. But I lived in an agricultural area. There weren't as many sports back there for girls, and we had fall and spring practice, and with the boys and the girls together, and we had matches that were like 5 boys matches, 5 girls matches, and mixed doubles, and we played a lot, and it was a lot of fun. So
where did you grow up?
I grew up in the Central Valley of California, which is not, all the beaches that you see on TV. It's a big, giant agricultural valley. The biggest agricultural valley, I think maybe in the world, at least the most productive. And I grew up about 50 miles from the nearest tennis club and on a farm.
So you played in school, presumably, did you?
I played in high school, not in high school. Our grammar school didn't have anything, but in high school. When I was 12, my dad built a tennis court on the farm, but we were sort of isolated, so I didn't really play until I was older, for a couple years later, and then I started playing, and I loved it. I just absolutely loved it, and I was, asking my parents to take me to tournaments. We did a couple of summers where we did a couple weeks at tennis camp, and then once I was old enough to drive, my parents, said, okay, you can go to any tournament you want to, as long as, and then I dragged my sister around, and we played tournaments all summer. It was fun.
So you played doubles with her, did you?
Yes, we, that's probably not our finest moments. We're very different, but we did. She's a year younger, but, she'd play, I'd play, and occasionally we played doubles together too. And we remember that, and we're still really good friends, so that's good.
Exactly. Survived the tennis rivalry. And I'm curious, when you grow up in the family that, is dedicated to a sport, sometimes there is parental pressure or sibling pressure. But it sounds like you didn't feel that. It was something that you really wanted to do.
I wanted to do it. There was no pressure from my dad. I mean, he was a very natural tennis player. He just was good. The things he said, he just knew instinctively, like how to practice. We'd hit balls for an hour. Once I got good enough to hit with him. And I still remember those were the most exhausting practices I ever had. He'd take a big basket of balls. We'd warm up for 5 minutes, and we'd play 10-point games until the entire basket was empty. Then we could get water. And it was quite hot there in the summer where I grew up. And, but he never pushed us at all to play tennis, and neither did my mom. And they didn't attend too many of our events. We took the Greyhound bus to go to some tournaments before we were old enough to drive. And they drive us to the bus station. And I don't think people would do that anymore, but it was an adventure, and nobody got hurt, so it was all good.
That's all. Now, I mean, as you say, the passion was there, so that's all you needed was to be able to get to play. Did you have any heroes at that time? Tennis, I mean, we all watch tennis, and I could name mine. I'm curious as to who your heroes were when it came to tennis.
Chris Evert, even though she's only a year older than me, she got good so young, and I started, she was already a champion at 15. She was beating Margaret Court, and that was about when I started playing. So Chris Evert, I remember writing a paper about her in high school, and I loved Ken Rosewall too, the slice backhand,
Oh, that backhand.
So, yes, I loved him. So, and I liked Laver quite a bit too, and I've met Rod Laver a few times. He's a very nice guy. My dad used to belong to the same tennis club as my dad, when he was in his 70s, and they would hit sometimes. So, but I remember Laver and Rosewall playing each other, so I quite liked them. And of course, Chris, because I liked the way she played it. It was more like the way I like to play, really consistently, and some drop shots and stuff, as opposed to someone who was hitting a lot of winners. So
right, mainly from the baseline.
Yeah, mainly from the baseline. I'd like to be more aggressive, but I think you still have to play tennis. Really, you can tell someone's personality by the way they play. If they're impatient, patient, and has something to do physically with how fast you can run and things like that. But yeah.
Curiously, for someone who's clearly a Californian through and through, you haven't mentioned Billie Jean, of course, who comes from the left coast. Was she someone that you got to meet ever in the course of your career?
Yes, I met the first tennis camp I went to when I was 14 was the Vandermeer, Dennis Vandermeer, Billie Jean King tennis camp. And Billie Jean King was there. I still remember that. And she was out there with the kids one day. I remember she told me to choke up on my racket. We were probably still using those heavy wood rackets. And I choked up on my racket probably for the next 20 years based on that information. And so, yes, I but it wasn't the style of tennis, that I liked as much. But of course, Billie Jean King has done so much for women's sports and for sports in general. So she's a pretty cool lady.
Yeah.
But
as you say, she has continued to do so much, but so have so many of the other players too. And I'm curious now, in the modern day, if you turn on and watch any of the Grand Slams, who are you cheering for?
Well, I love Andy Murray. I liked him. I watched him when he was 18 and he played at the U.S. Open. And I had my nephew with me, and I said, we got to watch this Murray kid. And he was playing a French player, and he won the 4-set. And I just loved the way he could read the return and get the ball back in play. So obviously I'm drawn towards a type of counterpuncher. And I love Federer. I mean, I know everybody loves Federer, but I mean, how can you not like the way he plays? He's amazing. And these young Canadian kids are really good. And I always liked Wozniacki. I'm drawn towards the counterpunchers. What can I say? So I like the way she plays. The Williams sisters are amazing, but it's not the type of tennis that I love as much. But I do really like the fact that they continue to get how much they love the game and how they continue to improve. And I love how competitive like Serena is in particular. I think it's amazing. And so I like the modern day players as well.
Yeah, and you must have gone through some coaches then in the course of your career. Who have been the most influential?
That's a good question. I started off, the first lessons I had were from Ken Waltz. His son was a pretty good pro, Butch Waltz, and Fresno, and he gave me some basic lessons, and my sister and brother, and we all have good strokes. And then Mary Hill in Sacramento. When I was about 30, I decided I was going to, sort of fine tune my game to get ready for the 35s, the seniors. I didn't have any power, so I wasn't ever a pro player, but I wanted to, improve my strokes. I wanted to change my serve and my forehand in particular. And I drove her nuts, but she really helped my game a lot. And then when I used to live in the Central Valley near Sacramento, further south though. So then I would hit with the pro there who was from Chile. And after I played my first senior world championship, it was in Germany, and I was 39. Well, I was going to be 40 that year. And I came back from that and played a couple other tournaments. And I told this guy, Mauricio Acundo, I said, I need a new backhand. I said, they hated my topspin, but every time they hit it to my backhand, I lost the point. They just you could see them almost salivating because it wasn't heavy enough. And they drop shot it or they hit it really low to my forehand. And anyway, so he was very helpful. And actually, he's helped my sister a lot as well. And right now I live in San Diego, and I work with a couple guys, Tole from Croatia. Everybody just calls him Tole, or from Serbia, sorry. And also Derek Miller at the Rancho Santa Fe Club. And they're really good. And in Florida, I sometimes work with a guy named Charlton Eagle, who is, he's Australian, New Zealand, American. He's been around. So, and they all taught me different things, and I keep trying to improve. So there's always somebody ahead of you. So
That's interesting that you've steered mainly towards male coaches. Is that because of their style mostly?
It's just who was kind of, well, like Tole, for example, teaches he teaches all the women doubles in San Diego. So he's vast majority of his students are women, and he's just really good at teaching women. And in Lodi, there was not really another option. There was basically one person, but Mary Hill did a lot for my game, and I probably took lessons from her over a period of, I don't know, 20 to 30 years, for a very long time. So she had a big influence as well. So, but there aren't as many women coaches as men. I mean, as you know, there's far fewer.
Do you coach?
So, no, I don't. I've coached a little bit, but not really very much. I coached a little bit, I don't know, about 25 years ago. I did some teaching of some kids that were like my nieces and nephews' age, but the coaching's changed quite a bit since then. I think I could have been better with the shorter courts and the foam balls. It'd be a lot easier to teach kids these days than with the yellow ball and no rallies.
So in terms of your game and the evolution of your game, talk a little bit about that then, Carolyn, and compared to the changes in the game itself generally.
I think that I was behind the evolution of the game, but, eventually you switch to the new technology, and I added more top spin, and you see all the top spin, and so then I added top spin to my game. And then about, 10 years ago, I'm watching kids at an academy. I'm like, the game has changed again. The way they produce forehands in particular has changed a lot. So then I've been working on sort of incorporating some of those changes into my game. But we have tournaments in the U.S. that have all the age divisions from, say, 35 to 85 and over, and you can just see how the game has evolved, because the younger people hit heavy topspin and very hard, and it gets a little bit less topspin as you get older, and more of the one-handed backhands and more slice and more flatter shots. And I have, for the 60s, I hit probably, there's just a couple of us that hit a lot of topspin, and I'm one of them. Off my forehand anyway. So so I've tried to add some of the new style, but some of it you just need a certain amount of strength and flexibility that you lose as you get older. So.
And how about your serve?
My serve, well, I'll put it this way. Underhanded, I've hit a lot of underhanded serves in my day, and not to disconcert the opponents, but my serve I changed it a lot when I was 30, and then I've changed it just this last year. I had a shoulder injury, and I kind of changed my serve, and it's an adequate serve, I'll put it that way. I will, after somewhere around age 60 to 65, the big serves are gone. For the women, they're gone, and for the men, they go away somewhere between the 65s and the 70s. I'm not saying they're not good, but there's a change. And I've watched a lot of senior tennis over the years, because I've helped with the USTA, with the super seniors in particular, and the ITF, and I've watched a lot of super seniors, and I can see how it changes as you get older.
Yeah, and I'm curious then, in terms of as you've gotten older, what other exercising, working out you do, any cross-training you do to maintain, a level of fitness that you need to be competitive?
I think I do more rehab and cross-training than I do tennis, unfortunately. I do it so I can play tennis. I had a pretty bad shoulder injury about a year and a half ago, and I had to take off, about 6 months, and I fortunately found a really good physical therapist in La Jolla in San Diego area, and so I do a half an hour of shoulder exercises every day, and then I do probably 15 to 30 minutes of stretching, and I do some strengthening every day for the sort of glute area. And I, if I'm have a more break from tennis, if I have a longer break or no tournament coming up, then I will try and go to the gym, 3 times a week and ride the bike some. So I do a lot of cross training.
And
right
how
now.
much do you practice?
I've been practicing 6 days a week for, a couple hours a day. I'd say that's probably the average. And maybe 1 day a week, I might try and do singles and doubles. So I practice a lot. I live in a good climate for practicing, and it's
You
fun.
do. Yeah, you definitely do. So what motivates you the most now, apart from being competitive? Is it just continually striving to improve your game?
I am trying to improve my game and the mental side, and trying to figure out there's always people ahead of you. And then I always have, like, I set some outcome goals, which are like, getting ranked a certain number or winning a world championship. And then there's goals like I think I can still hit a better backhand down the line and better passing shots and improve my second serve. And so that's why I take lessons. And then I'm always working on movement as well, because you do lose it as you get older, but you can just try and slow the loss so it's less than your the people you compete against in that age division, because I play age division tennis primarily, which is, all levels, but I play in the 60 and overs. And I try and stay faster than they are. Every year it gets a little tougher. And you hit that. I don't know, the other day I hit this one forehand and I'm like, oh, that felt great. And then it's like, how can I do it 10 more times, So that keeps me going. And it's fun. There's a very strong social aspect to tennis, even if you are competitive. Playing in a nice environment with a friend, even if you're maybe not playing as well as you want, it's fun. And it's a good way to, I don't know, it's a very good social environment. You get out of the house, you have something to look forward to and something to prepare for.
And something to challenge you.
Exactly. And it is a challenge. I mean, I'm not a natural tennis player, but I've gotten good at it because I'm very passionate about it. And I still think I can get better, at least vis-a-vis my competitors. But there's a lot of good players, at least in the States, coming up into this age division. A lot of people retire around, in their 60s. And so all of a sudden, people who have been playing some, but not tons, start playing more, and they get a lot better, and their bodies are in good shape. So there's always somebody new to challenge you.
Now, you mentioned some injuries there, Carolyn, and every athlete has injuries along the way. But what have been the biggest setbacks for you, and how have you overcome those mentally?
Well, the shoulder thing was big. I mean, I do have some tears in my shoulder, but it was, I was kind of depressed because I had to pull out of the world championships, and it's very competitive to make the U.S. It's basically the senior Fed Cup team. So you could go two ways. So I decided I would just get fitter in my lower body. So that's what I did. And then I finally found the right physical therapist who gave me all these strengthening things. And then we set a goal to play doubles at the Nationals last April. And I hadn't, played competitively since the previous August. And I was quite hurt then when I did it. So that's one injury. Another one I had was I tripped. I was like taking a photo. I like to take photos, and I was walking with the camera lens, to my eye, and I was walking kind of fast and didn't see the curb in front of me, and I broke the fall with my knee. And I didn't break the kneecap, but I did a microtrabecular fracture, which is underneath the kneecap. That took 8 months, and you never know if that's going to be, if it's going to ever heal again. It took a long time to heal. And the only other really bad injury I've had some Achilles injuries, but I was playing the World Championships, and I tripped on a line, and I did a grade 3 sprain, which means I tore a ligament, and they had to carry me off the court, and that took about 3-4 months to heal. My joints otherwise aren't too bad. I mean, I'm sure I have arthritis in all of them, but I've been kind of lucky. But I've also, I train pretty hard off the court to keep strong, but that's kind of what I do. But it is kind of depressing because you lose that contact to your friends and stuff to some degree. When you get injured, you kind of disappear, and so it gets a little bit lonely. Yeah.
Right, but you've had that resilience and determination to come back, and you've got an amazing record in the sport. And I'm just curious now, at this point in your career, in your tennis career, Carolyn, what means the most to you from what you've achieved in tennis? What would be like your career highlights as far as you're concerned?
Well, winning the singles world championship in 2015, and that was only about 6 months after I had fallen, 6 or 7 months after I'd fallen on my knee, and I wasn't even sure if I could. I'd had very mixed results that year because I came back too soon, and winning that over the top American player, that was pretty amazing in front of like 3 people. There was like no one there. It was the last day of the tournament, and they had moved everything else to a different club, but it was still amazing. And winning, I played quite a lot of father-daughter obviously with my dad. And so winning our first national title, or actually even playing the first tournament together in the father-daughter nationals, was pretty cool. I mean, my dad was such an amazing doubles player and very nice to play with. So I learned how to treat my doubles partners well with him. And gosh, the just traveling to some of the places I've gotten to play, Turkey and China and South America and Europe, it's really been fun. So.
And now you are currently ranked number 1, singles and doubles. You've been there before.
Yeah.
I mean, is that as important as the actual results itself?
No. I mean, I know I'm not the best player in the world. When the one year that I won the world championships in singles and doubles and was ranked 1, then I felt the ranking truly reflected my ability properly. But there are other players in the U.S. that are, there's one in particular who was in the finals of the Worlds last year. I've never beaten her. And the woman who won the World Championships last year, Marsakova, I mean, she's an amazing player and better than I am. So the ranking is nice, and it opens some doors to tournaments in places where they don't know you. But actually, I don't know, one of the best match I played this year, I lost. And it was like such a moral victory because this woman had been killing me, and we had such a great match. And even though I lost, I want to play like that more. So, and that means more than getting ranked 1.
And you've achieved a lot of awards as well, but it seems that you have a passion for writing too. Where did that come from?
Maybe because I like to read so much when I was younger. I mean, we didn't have internet and stuff, but I would read a book every day. So, and I remember like just writing screenplays. I haven't done that since I was a kid, but I always liked to write. I always liked to take pictures, and I don't know, maybe that was maybe where I enjoy it a lot. Not quite as passionate about it as tennis, but maybe more, but it comes easier. So I just combine the two, and people really, they really enjoy seeing the pictures and hearing about tournaments around the country or around the world. At least they say they do, and so I keep doing it. And also, my parents read it, and they know where I am, and my sister and my relatives. So it's kind of fun doing that way.
It's one where they can keep track of you.
Yes.
So what's on your bucket list then, Carolyn?
Oh, that is a really good question. I mostly lately have been reading, sort of thriller type, Harlan Coben thriller type stuff. But but I also enjoy, I've read a lot of tennis biographies, and there's a few more out there that I want to read. I really enjoyed Andre Agassi's. I read Martina Navratilova's and Billie Jean King's autobiographies, and I have Sellis's on my list to read. So
that's your reading list, and yeah. I'm wondering then, being a writer, if you are inclined to write an autobiography.
Oh, no, I don't think it'd be very interesting at all. I mean, I've been really lucky to be able to do what I do, and I really appreciate it. And they always say I was reading some list of things people regret, and one of them is not traveling when they're young and caring about what other people think too much and stuff. And there were quite a few things, and I'm like, yeah, I've been very lucky because I've pretty much done. I don't have too many regrets. So
that's wonderful. But what's on your bucket list tennis wise?
Well, I go into the 65 and overs next year because I have a good tennis birthday. Tennis is for age divisions. It's what your birth age is, December 31st, and mine's at the end of November. So, I mean, my bucket list is definitely I definitely want to try and win another world championship. I suppose that's an outcome goal. This year I want to try and visit a couple new countries, Hungary and Brazil, I think. So I like to try and Portugal as well. They just selected our national teams, and we're going to Portugal. And I've only been to the airport there. So I do like to visit a new country or two. There's a couple other ones on my list, probably not for this year, but always visiting some new countries, and also Patagonia, which is not a tennis bucket list, but I want to, after I play a tournament in South America, I really want to see Patagonia this year. So that's definitely high on my bucket list.
There's some great goals there for 2019. And in terms of the tournaments this year, what are the big ones, Carolyn, for you?
National hard courts are in La Jolla, California, and that's in mid-May. And then I'm planning on playing a couple in Austria in June, and then Portugal, Finland and Portugal in August. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to do Brazil and Chile in November, and then I'm just trying to figure out. And Hungary, I was thinking Hungary and Croatia in September. So those are all fairly large ITF tournaments, and that's kind of what my schedule is thinking of. My nephew's wedding is kind of in the middle of a couple tournaments I normally play, but family first. So.
Right. So what are you doing when you're not playing tennis and reading then?
Well, I do some volunteer work. I used to do a lot of volunteer work, but I am on the board of the USTA Southern California Tennis Association and of the San Diego District, and I chair the tournament evaluation committee. there. So, and I have a website, carolynnichols.com, and it just helps seniors navigate the USTA national schedule. And then I also write quite a bit about the Senior Fed Cup and Senior Davis Cup in all the age divisions, not just mine, but 35s through the 85, so people can keep up with it and promote the sport better. That's kind of what I do. I also, I like photography quite a lot. So when I'm in San Diego, there's some great venues for picture taking and nice hikes as well. So I do that.
So life is good then?
Life is great. Like I said, I'm really lucky. I do appreciate it. And I'm very lucky to do what I do.
And taking you around the world as well.
Oh yes. I really like to travel, and I love to come home again. It's just, you appreciate home more when you're gone, but it's so much fun to see other countries, other people. And I really enjoy that too. So, well,
let's hope another World Championship title is on your, one of the goals that you will fulfill again, Carolyn, while you're playing, because it's been a tremendous career, wonderful, obviously, achievements so far, and lots more tennis to come. So I want to thank you very much for taking the time to come on the program, and the very best of luck with your tennis.
Oh, well, thank you very much for inviting me, and I'll look forward to hearing a lot of your podcasts. I love listening to podcasts when I'm walking or driving. So thank you for inviting me.
Conversations from the world of women's sports. This is Wisp Sports Radio.
And we'll have more information on our website at wispsports.com. In the show notes accompanying this episode, just go to wispsports.com, look for The Bolder Woman under the Listen tab. And we'll have her detailed biography there and a list of major results and the committees on which she serves too, as well as the publications that Carolyn has written for. And while you're on the website, do check out some of the other shows here, not just on The Bolder Woman, but all the other podcasts that we have that cover women in sport in so many different sports and so many issues surrounding women in sport. You can also download them, of course, from your podcast player. Just subscribe, which is free, to Wisp Sports. And we also have videos as well as articles and blogs on the website too. Plus, you can follow some of our Wisp ambassadors in their sport, and we, of course, share their stories on social media. You can follow us at Wisp Sports, and you can also have your say by dropping us a line to info@wispsports.com. Until the next time, thank you for listening and supporting women in sport everywhere. Goodbye for now.
This is your moment.